Hi everyone, I hope you're all doing well and that you had a great weekend. Today we're going to be taking a look at Lesson 2, Blood Clotting. So for today's lesson, here is our agenda. So number 1, you're going to be using the Cheat Your PowerPoint and this YouTube video to complete the notes for Lesson 2 on blood clotting. So I've attached the notes in Google Classroom. Second, you're going to order the cutouts to review the process of blood clotting. That's right here. So you're going to use that and help you with going over what we are going to be talking about today. And third, you're going to complete the sheet on coronary thrombosis that is also attached here. So you're going to watch a video and answer some questions after you go through the lesson today to take notes. So I'm going to ask you to take your notes packet out. You're going to go to Lesson 2, Blood Clotting, and we're going to start off by talking about what exactly blood clotting is and what plays a role in blood clotting in general. As per usual, we have a video here that I'm going to ask you to watch after you're done watching this video. It does a nice overview of what we're about to talk about with blood clotting. So again, please watch this video right here that's attached to the PowerPoint slide after you watch the lecture video. So today we're going to be talking about blood clotting, and blood clotting happens when there is a cut in the skin or there's an injury somewhere in the body where blood is going to clot or come and close the opening where that opening isn't supposed to be. So let's say you have a cut on your finger, your blood would clot to close that opening to stop any pathogen from possibly coming in and to close the skin of where that cut may be. So before we get into the functions of each of these different words that are going to be playing a role in blood clotting, we're first going to take a general overview look at what blood clotting is. So we'll come back to that chart after we go through the next 2 slides. So cuts in the skin are sealed by blood clotting, and clotting factors are released from platelets. So let's read a little bit about blood clotting. So wounds such as cuts to the skin causes openings through which pathogens can potentially enter the body. So if you have a cut, pathogens could possibly come into the body because of that opening. So platelets are small cell fragments along with damaged tissue, and they release clotting factors in response to a wound. So if you had a cut, like the picture here, platelets along with damaged tissue are going to release these clotting factors. You can think they're going to release a message in response to that cut or to the wound. So now these clotting factors are going to cause a series of reactions which end with fibrin or a protein, and this fibrin fibers, they're going to form a mesh across the wound site. So that message that was sent is going to make fibrin, this protein, create a mesh to close up or start closing up that wound. The fibrin fibers capture blood cells and platelets, forming a clot. So that mesh is, you can think, is sticky. So it's going to allow red blood cells and other platelets to attach to close up that wound. So in the presence of air, the clot will dry to form a scab which shields the healing tissues underneath. So overall, these blood clots at the site of a wound are going to help prevent blood loss and also prevent the entry of pathogens. So how exactly is this happening? What is the process? What's telling what to do what? Okay, so let's take a deeper look and then we'll get back to that chart on the first page of lesson 2. So here's what's going to be happening. When you get a cut, let's say on your finger, these are the steps that your body is going to take to help with that wound. So first, your platelets and cells that have been damaged are going to send out a message called clotting factors. These clotting factors are going to stimulate thrombin, and that thrombin is going to stimulate fibrinogen to become fibrin. Now, this fibrin or this protein is going to be sticky, you can think, and that stickiness is going to allow erythrocytes or your red blood cells and platelets come to that opening to begin to plot it or to begin to close it up. And that is going to allow for the clot to form. So if you look at the pictures here, you can see this one, the red blood cells are leaking out because the wound just happened, you just cut yourself, or there's a cut somewhere in your body. And over here, you can see that once those clotting factors have been released and it goes through these steps, that now we're starting to close up that wound or that opening into the body. So blood clotting is an example of a metabolic pathway. So it's a chain of biochemical reactions. Now that we know this, let's go back to our chart and try to fill out the components of the chart based off of what we just went through about the passageway that blood clotting is going to take. So first, platelets. We've learned now that platelets are small cell fragments, okay, and they are going to release clotting factors in response to a wound, so in response to a cut. So that would be the platelets' function. Now, fibrinogen is going to be a soluble protein present in blood from which the fibrin is going to be produced by the action of the enzyme thrombin. So fibrinogen is going to turn into fibrin because of thrombin. So now let's take a look at thrombin. Thrombin is the enzyme that converts the fibrinogen into fibrin. And last but not least, the function of fibrin now is going to be the thing that forms a mesh across the wound itself. And it is a protein. So that protein you can think is going to be sticky and it's going to capture blood cells and platelets forming that clot. And in the presence of air, it's going to form a scab to totally close it off to the outside world, to other pathogens. So now that we've gone through and taken a look at the path that the clotting does, so the path that the body takes to close a wound, we're now going to take a look step by step. So I want you to pause the video and I want you to read each of these and correlate them with the correct picture. They're numbered here. So take a second, pause the video, and correlate 1 with 1, 2 with 2, and make sure that it makes sense to you. So now, having paused and taken a look at those pictures from the other slide, we're going to come here and just do a general overview once again. So if we have a damaged blood vessel or a wound, a cut in your hand, that injury to the vessel lining triggers the release of clotting factors. And that clotting factor is going to stimulate thrombin, which is going to stimulate what to become what? Yes, exactly. It's going to make fibrinogen become fibrin, and eventually they're going to develop a clot because that fibrin is going to adhere to the plug to form an insoluble clot and close that wound. So here's again is a nice overview of what exactly is going on in the body when there's a cut either in your skin, in a blood vessel. So now we're going to take a look at results of a blood clot in the coronary artery. And we talked a little bit about this in our cardiovascular unit. So before you do the class activity, I want you to first take a look at this chart and try to fill it out based off of the next 2 slides. So remember, when we talked about what we talked about in the cardiovascular unit, atherosclerosis is when there's a buildup of plaque or cholesterol in the lining, which can possibly burst and cause a blood clot, which can trigger a heart attack because it's going to fully block the passageway of blood. And if it does this in the coronary artery, this could lead to a heart attack because the blood is not flowing correctly. It might not even be able to flow at all because of the blood clot that forms because of that rupture or because of the opening that occurs in that blood vessel. So using these 2 slides, I want you to fill out these two boxes and explain why atherosclerosis could possibly cause a heart attack or a narrowed lumen or a narrowed pathway for blood to go through. And last but not least, I'm going to ask you to head on into the class activity where you are going to be watching this YouTube video. It's very small here, but you're going to be watching a YouTube video that's attached in the link that's on Google Classroom, and you're going to be answering the following questions based off of that YouTube video about coronary thrombosis and also about clotting. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Please let me know if you have any other questions. And please also join the Google Hangout from 11 a.m. to 12 p.m. every day with any questions or just to say hello. Okay, have a great rest of your day, everybody.